Uh, I don't think Van Halen would put that on the B-side of their worst record. And then Joe was like, looking at me with his arms crossed like sideways. And then Steven sheepishly said, well, when I first was singing that hook, I was singing Dude Looks Like a Lady. It's like, Dude Looks Like a Lady? That's a hit title. Turns around and it's Vince Neil of Motley Crue. And so then that's when Steven said, he said, ooh, that dude looks like a lady. That dude looks like a lady. Dude looks like a lady. Dude looks like a lady. Oh my God, he's got the same blubber lips. I have to write a song where he says angel or angel like a million times, so I can see those lips move the same way.
Another band that you mentioned as well that kind of followed not long afterwards. In your book, John Kolodner phoned you and says, very famous man himself, of course, he called you up and said that he wants you to write me a hit with the Assholes, a term of endearment for a certain group of, I don't know, American rock royalty. So explain that one for us.
Well, John Kolodner, had a very acerbic humor, and he was very like a negative person, but very lovable too. And so he had Aerosmith, and he also had Cher. So, Aerosmith was the Assholes, and then he called Cher shithead. And then later on, I found out from Desmond Child that he called me faggot.
Oh,
This was when, politically correct was not in fashion. And so he is a brilliant man who, when rock changed and music went way into urban and all of this, he just retired. He just he wasn't with it. He was just all about rock, a purist, and he really helped me a lot. And he imposed me on Steven Tyler and Joe Perry, so they did not want to co-write with an outside writer. I don't think they ever had, and it was always in-house. And so they fly me to Boston, and I think they thought they'd just meet me and then send me away. And so I walk into this warehouse where they were rehearsing their stage show, and also, recording and doing some stuff. And so the big, doors open, this beam of light, goes in through, and I'm like walking through the beam of light. Steven Tyler's like walking towards me with this big smile on his face. And he said, come with me, come with me. I mean, no introductions, no nothing. And Joe was working on a backwards guitar loop that went, na-na, na-na, na-na. And then Steven started singing, cruising for the ladies. And it was like, he did that. And then they said, what do you think of that? And I said, I think it's bad. And they looked at me like, bad? Yeah, just to kind of break the ice and be funny, because I say a lot of funny things. I don't think Van Halen would put that on the B-side of their worst record. And then Joe was like, looking at me with his arms crossed like sideways. And then Steven sheepishly said, well, when I first was singing that hook, I was singing Dude Looks Like a Lady. It's like, Dude Looks Like a Lady? That's a hit title. And Joe said, but we don't know what that means. And besides, we don't want to insult the gay community. I said, dude, I'm gay. I'm not insulted. Let's go. And I said to Steven, how did you, come up with that title? He said, well, they were taking a break with the roadies, and they went down by the shore, and they walked into this, almost empty bar. At the end of this long bar, all these stools, was this vision of loveliness, this like big, like platinum mullet with black nails and jewelry and this ivory skin, curvy figure. And they were all like drawing straws, who was going to go up and say hello. So suddenly she turns around, and it's Vince Neil of Motley Crue. And so then that's when Steven said, he said, ooh, that dude looks like a lady. That dude looks like a lady. Dude looks like a lady. Dude looks like a lady. And so when they went to write this, to this loop, he started singing Dude Looks Like a Lady, I guess, or they immediately said, no, we can't sing that. So they changed it to Cruisin' for the Ladies, which is the most generic, thing. I mean, how many, rock videos have we seen guys top down on Sunset Strip and the girls jump into the car, and it was like you just saw the whole thing. But they went along with what I suggested, which was let's write that story. Cruised into a bar on the shore, her picture graced the grime on the door. The idea that the guy goes in and he sees this gorgeous stripper, and then he goes backstage, and then she pulls out her gun and tries to blow him away. But he doesn't run away, he stays, because he goes, my funky lady, I like it, like it, like it, like that. So how ahead of our times were we with that song? The second verse goes, never judge a book by its cover, or who you gonna love by your lover. And it's like, it's the whole idea. It's like, if it looks good to you and you're drawn to it, go for it. And also to not judge it. And so I think we were way ahead of our time with that song.
Absolutely. And I think later on, Stephen and Joe both kind of, I don't know, downplayed your involvement somewhat in that song. What was your feeling when that happened?
Well, it was opposite. Stephen, spent 3 pages trying to say that the song was already written.
Okay.
And that I just threw in a few little sprinkly little words and stuff. And it's like, and also did a portrait of me, describing me. I look, in his mind, I look like Juan Valdez of the coffee commercials, with a big handlebar mustache. First of all, not even in the 70s porn era did I wear a handlebar mustache. I've had beards, but never just like a Ted Lasso kind of mustache, and which that insulted me more than him saying that I hardly had anything to do with the song. And so, then Joe made his book, collaborated with David Ritz, the one I did, years before I wrote with David. And he said, well, Desmond came up with the title. And it's like, no, I didn't. That was Stephen's title. So they both had, one, over praising me for coming up with the title, which I didn't. I just recognized that the title was a hit title. And so, not that long ago, maybe a couple of years ago, Stephen made a country record, and he had a song called Red, White, and You that one of my writers had written. So he came to my studio to sing the song, and I sat him down. I said, look, let me talk to you about, Dude Looks Like a Lady. And I went and I told him the whole entire story I just told you. And he's looking off in the distance and he goes, oh, I like your story better than mine. It's like, what? Now it's like forever in his book wrong? So I decided to set the record straight in my book.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you mentioned there, Joe being quite frosty with you. I'm guessing that's not the first time it's ever happened. So how do you deal with that? How do you face that when you come across someone like that?
Well, the following day, he didn't show up to the session. So I thought, oh my God, he hates me. So luckily, Stephen showed up. No one was there, no roadies, no nothing. This big cavernous, warehouse. And at the, at in front of the stage, like down on the floor, with against the stage, was this little Wurlitzer piano. So he and I sat next to each other, and I started asking him about his life. And he told me that he had, struggled with substance abuse and had gone to rehab and was going to meetings, and that the person that got him through all of that was his beautiful new wife, Teresa. And so he kept saying, well, she's an angel, she's my angel. And it's like, angel? And then I saw those big blubber lips of his saying angel. And I started remembering Angie by the Rolling Stones and Mick Jagger going, Angie. It's like he says Angie, but his lips keep fluttering, And I said, oh my God, he's got the same blubber lips. I have to write a song where he says Angie or angel like a million times, so I can see those lips move the same way. I mean, that was like the crazy thought I had in my mind. So we wrote Angel, which was their next hit. And then the third day, Stephen didn't show up, but Joe did. And we wrote a song together called Heart's Done Time. So by now I was proving my worth. And so then, eventually, we became friends. But, my secret was always because I'm sort of like the palace eunuch. Let's say I'm writing with, a band, and then they go off to their AA meetings, see, but they leave me at the house with the wife, making dinner. So, I befriend the wife, and then, I start rearranging furniture, straightening out the paintings, moving paintings, fluffing up the pillows, doing all this stuff. And they know that they can trust me with their wives because, I wasn't going to like, you know, have an affair with them or something, right? So that's how I got inside. And if you're friendly and nice to the wife, you're in. Because pillow talk, they go, I really like that Desmond. You should invite him back. I need help with figuring out what I'm going to do with the den. So I kept getting invited back.